Hi, I am so excited. With us today, we have Susan Leckowicz with Dental Coaches. And, I've been having some conversations with Susan recently about, what doctors and offices are doing right now as we end the year to lead up and set themselves up for success for 2026. And Susan has been working with her clients for years during this time period, really focusing them around what their goals are for 2026, getting really intentional so that at the end of the year, that owner, that office can come back and say, yes, we hit our goals, and we did so strategically. So Susan had some great insight, and I wanted to welcome her on so that we could chat about it a little bit more. Welcome, Susan.
Yeah, thank you, Rebecca. It's great to be here with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you look ahead to 2026, what are the top operational or financial indicators you believe every practice owner should be evaluating right now?
I love this time of year, annual planning. And I think the first step is to reflect on what worked really well in 2025, to really look back and say, okay, where did we really succeed in doing the best treatment plans for our patients and for really exciting the team and getting them focused on specific actions. So what I like to do is to reflect on that and to really take a look at some key performance indicators. I like to track production per hour for each provider and look at the average production per hour and look at the average monthly production for those providers.
You're speaking my language, KPIs, Susan. So,
KPIs, right.
yeah,
And then
absolutely.
what I like to do is look at how to make more predictable days that are get away from the big day, small day, big day, small day, big day, small day, and really look at the production per hour on average and how to grow the practice that way. I also like to have the clients look at procedure counts and procedure codes. What did we do the most of? What are our top 10 codes and how many of those procedures did we do in 2025? Because that can be very insightful because a lot of offices say, well, I think we're doing a lot of clear aligner therapy, but unless we really run the reports and see how many cases were completed, we really don't know. And it also creates a way to set goals for 2026 for the
Yeah.
team.
And so, yeah, and so for procedure counts, what trends do you look for that signal like an opportunity or maybe a risk?
So are we doing a lot of four surface fillings when we could be doing more crowns? Are we doing more prophies and fewer SRPs or 4910s? Are we coding the procedures correctly, or are there an opportunity to look at our standard of care for hygiene and say, are some of these patients really better served by going back into active therapy, looking at the balance between the preventative procedures and then the more therapeutic procedures, looking at the amount of buildups. How many buildups did you do versus crowns? Did we miss some opportunities there? Those types of things. And to me, any of the metrics that are in practice by numbers stimulate a conversation, right? It's kind of having a conversation with the team, thinking about it yourself, like what worked well, what is surprising about these numbers, what are the trends that we're seeing?
Oh, I love that answer. So we've talked through a couple of the things. I know when we were talking before, you had mentioned, insurance aging is something that, you know, you take a look at and you want to evaluate with your clients as they prepare for 2026. When you walk an office through insurance aging, what are the red flags you're looking for that you watch for first?
So I like to look at how much distribution of the aging is in each category, right? Over 30 days, over 60, over 90. And anything, unless there's a really firm commitment with these over 90-day patients where they're making, monthly payments, I like to see that aging be, less than 10%, the over 90 days be less than 10%. And if it's not, or if there are patients on that insurance aging report or even the patient aging report, where was the breakdown in the system? How did that get so far along? And really kind of think about where's the opportunity with training for the team. Do we need to really get better at verifying their benefits before we're doing treatment, or making sure that our claims are clean and that they're getting paid easily and on time? And it's a way, again, to really kind of analyze what's happening operationally in the practice, and are we fully staffed for that? Do we need to outsource that? What's the best way to get that? And we know that insurance changes constantly, so it's a challenge oftentimes to stay on top of all those
Yeah.
claims.
And I know that's one of the things you excel at with your clients is creating systems around, you know, systems and training around things like treatment planning, around things like, proper phone procedures, around, anything that the office might be struggling with. So
Mm.
I'm glad you brought that up. So what about like as we look at 2026, like how should practices be reviewing, let's say, referral sources going into 2026? If they're looking for more new patients and growth, what metrics matter most to determine, if those things are working?
That's a great question. And I love to really work at analyzing marketing success and marketing trends. So we want to look at, what were our strongest referral sources. We want to make sure the team members are tagging patients within the system, and that the marketing will get the practice visible and get patients to come in the door. So we also want to look at unscheduled treatment plans for some of those new patients. How well did we do with getting patients to agree to treatment? And if they're not agreeing to treatment and scheduling, do we know why? Are we comfortable leaning in and asking what the obstacle is, what's holding them back? And do we have ways to lower the barrier to care to make treatment more affordable for patients so they have opportunities for spreading out payments over time, whether that's an in-house payment plan or looking at different third-party financing options? So we have to think about how can we help our patients get healthy and fit it into their schedule and their budget and get them moving closer to better oral health.
Yeah, awesome. So I know as we go into 2026, like many doctors, many owners are starting to think about, if they haven't already, they've been thinking about like, okay, this is where I want to end 2025 and what I want to do in 2026. Like it takes some time. And so I know you've have some different resources available. If you could, and we'll touch on that here in just a second, but um, if a practice owner came to you and they said, hey, Susan, what do we need to focus on first? Like, I have all these grand goals. What would you recommend they do right now so that they do start 2026, off to a great start?
I would really take a look at the year as a whole and say, when are you going to take vacation? When are you going to have holidays? When is the office going to be closed? Do we have trainings set up? And look at each month individually and decide, what was your average production per hour, and what do you need to produce and collect each month to keep your practice profitable? Because some months are shorter than others, have fewer days. So we have to look strategically at the hourly goals and say, well, if I want to produce, or I need to produce a certain amount of money and collect a certain amount each month because my expenses don't change, whether the office is open or the office is closed, how do we create a plan and a guide to get the team focused on actions towards an hourly goal? And I like to look at production per hour because it really breaks it down and it makes an easy focus point. Okay, how many hours are we working? Our goal is $500 an hour. We have an 8-hour day. That's a $4,000 day. Are we scheduled to $4,000? Yes, we are. Okay, let's move on to the next day and let's get consistent with that. Or if it's a shorter month, we might need to increase that hourly production to $700 an hour. What does that look like? What kind of procedures do we need to do? What does a template look like? So that we can really feel comfortable with evening out that schedule so it's not a roller coaster and it's not a hope and a prayer that, oh, I hope we have a good month. I know.
Or I can't take vacation because I need to hit my production goals, right?
Right, right,
Yeah.
right.
Oh,
So
I love that. Um, but before I let people know how to get in touch with you, is there anything else that you think really comes into play when an office is trying to determine what their plan will be for next year?
great question. So I would suggest that you really look at your different systems in the practice and figure out how is the team lining up? Who needs training on certain things? Does everyone know how to present a treatment plan to a patient, how to present different financial options? Who are the people that are doing that now? Who might need more training on it? Also, answering the phones. How well are we doing that? Are we listening to recorded calls? Are we checking our conversion for new patient appointments when that phone is ringing? How are we doing with our reactivation and following up? Do we have a good plan in place for that? Do we have clear roles and responsibilities for team members? And that is really getting each team member focused on maybe tracking a couple key performance indicators. I love your platform because you customize it to what each client wants to focus on. But if you can get a couple key things for each team member to focus on, it's a great way to start the year off strong and to celebrate that success and to review it, right? To be able to really enjoy and celebrate when things are working well in the practice.
Yeah, celebrate those wins, right? Dentistry is hard, and when you can celebrate the things that are going well, give that encouragement, that really just, helps motivate the team to say, "Okay, like, awesome, we tackled this, let's move on to the next one." So if someone is right now going through the process of trying to set up their goals for 2026, they're like, "Ooh, all the things Susan talked about are things that I wish I had time to do. I wish I could know how to do these in an organized way." And somebody wants to reach out to you, how would they go about doing so?
Well, they can go on my website and schedule a call with me. So my website is dentalcoaches.com. You could email me, Susan at dentalcoaches.com. I've got a Calendly link I can share with you to book a call. I'd love to talk with you, find out, what's happening in 2025, what you want to accomplish in 2026, and we can talk about our annual planning program where we really help doctors with creating a solid plan in writing to grow their business.
I love it. Well, thanks so much, Susan. Everyone will include the link below. So after you're done watching the video, you can click on that link if you want to learn more from Susan. But as always, thank you so much for talking with us today and just sharing your depth of knowledge with our dental audience.
Thank you, Rebecca. It's been a pleasure.